Okay, I'm here with Mark Steyn, who regrettably did not get here while my radio show was being broadcast live. Mark, you've become one of the most popular people with the base of the Republican Party. I mean, guest host on Rush Limbaugh regularly, American Alone, great books, great columns. What do you think is the thing that appeals to so many people in your writing?
Well, apocalyptic despair is probably the answer to that. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think, I mean, to put it seriously for a moment, the one thing we foreigners have over you natives is that we recognize, we're like the canaries in the coal mine. We know what that whiff in our nostrils is, because in many ways the decline and decay of the Western world for immigrants, that's the land we grew up in. We know what that's like. We know what decay is like. We know what decline is like. It's not a land you want to live in. And so we have the advantage over you local guys in that when we come here and we start getting that whiff in our nostrils, we've been there and we know what it's like. I mean, and you don't want to go there.
You've got a point. If my grandparents liked Sicily so much, they would have stayed there.
Yeah. Well, and that was the great thing about America. I mean, most of the world was set up so that if you were a peasant in the 13th century, your grandchildren were going to be peasants in the 14th century, and their grandchildren were going to be peasants in the 15th century. And in the 19th century, all those guys wised up and they got on the boat to Ellis Island because, and their children, they lived in slums on the Lower East Side of New York, and their children moved uptown, and their grandchildren lived in a nice place in the suburbs, and their great-grandchildren were the first generation to go to college, and then their great-great-grandchildren are the second generation to go to college, and they all decide they want to be community organizers and diversity consultants, and then the whole thing collapses and you go back to square one again.
Is it endemic of the American experience that because people get comfortable with it, sort of like how you described with the, I think it was a Dutchman who said, I enjoyed my freedom so much I never learned how to fight for it, that we forget how easy it is to lose it?
Yeah, he said he's a guy who basically looked at what was happening in his own country, Dutchman, which is Islamizing very fast, and he said, you know, don't bet on us to save this place, because I never learned to fight for my freedom, I only learned to enjoy it. And I think that's true to one degree or another of all of us in the Western world. We've lived under basically under the American security guarantee, under the longest period of peace and prosperity in human history, basically a kind of extended 1950s moment in which ordinary people have enjoyed lives of unparalleled prosperity, the ability to fulfill their human potential, and they think that that's the normal course of events, and they don't realize that no, you know, China comes up, India comes up, Brazil comes up, America doesn't have the economic strength to guarantee the security of the world. Nickel and dime states, North Korea goes nuclear, Pakistan goes nuclear, while the wealthiest countries in the world can't defend their borders. Norway can't, New Zealand can't. And the idea that that situation can endure forever is a fantasy, basically.
One of the things about Barack Obama's retreat, which the most amazing thing I thought was him drawing a line in the sand behind where Putin had already stepped over. Putin already had troops in the Crimea, and the president said, if you put troops in the Crimea, we'll take serious action. I've never seen a line drawn in the sand behind a person before, but will it force European and Asian states to think about their own defense without America? And is that, although it might be a dangerous thing, is that a healthy thing to some degree?
Well, I think it's a healthy thing to this degree. You know, no one wants Iran to go nuclear. I mean, this is where the left, by the way, I think looks at it in these outmoded terms. They think of the UN Non-Proliferation Treaty. Because they somehow think that Iran going nuclear, it's in breach of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. You and I know that if you woke up in the morning and you picked up your morning newspaper and it said Switzerland is going nuclear or Australia is going nuclear, nobody would care. Nobody would mind. It's the nature of the regimes that are going nuclear. And so the danger of a world beyond American order, of the world that Chuck Hagel, in fact, just announced a week or so back, is that in that vacuum, it isn't the so-called New World Order where the Chinese are the top dog and everything goes on just as it was. The danger is you have this like big jostling forces, and people decide, well, you know, if you're in Poland, yeah, they were going to put us under the missile defense thing, but then Obama said, no, we're not going to do that. Maybe we might as well be under the Russian security umbrella after all. And once people start making those kind of decisions, the world's moving to a much less happy and less secure place.
Since this is a Republican leadership conference, I should ask one blatantly political question. After the special elections here in New Hampshire and Florida, people are feeling optimistic, but with the Tea Party divide, Chuck it was not addressed by Mitch McConnell down at CPAC. There's a little bit of a murmuring here, like Granite Rock, for example, hasn't shown up to this place. Do you feel optimistic about 2014 for conservatives and Republicans, or do you think that the risk of a Tea Party GOP split could still mess it up for us?
Well, look, I think the Republican Party damaged its brand in the first years of this century, and that was reflected in the 2006 result. And the Tea Party agreed, basically, in the 2009-2010 cycle to work within the zombie husk of the Republican Party, as it were. And it paid off, and they had a terrific election result. But what, in the end, came of it? You know, this is a two-party system. It's not like in continental Europe or even in Commonwealth countries where parties decline, third, fourth, fifth parties can all come up and one of them eventually will break through after 5 or 10. This is a regimented two-party system. So it's easy when the Democrats are unpopular to win by default. Winning by default isn't going to be enough this time. You've actually got to be committed to a program of reversing the damage of the last 5 years fast, and that's really the challenge for the Republican Party is whether they're serious about that, because a disenchanted base they can still limp across the finish line, but a disenchanted base gave them that shot again in 2010, and one couldn't honestly say it was rewarded by the performance in Congress.
Do you have a new book you wish to plug, as if my readership is anywhere near yours?
Well, I'm an old-fashioned guy, and I still like the print version, but my free speech book, Lights Out, is just out on Kindle, Nook, and Kobo. So whatever form of electronic reading you like to do, it's available in that. Well, selling well, I'm glad.
We'll have to have you on the radio show to plug it once everyone else is back. Mark Steyn, thank you very much for your time.